In this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, Obito Uchiha is about to meet his maker, but before he leaves, he's going to impart some very good wisdom to Naruto, another ninja with dreams of becoming the Hokage. Superficially speaking, this was a gorgeous looking episode with some amazing art, animation, and frankly just some great direction all around. Animation team, the directors that worked on this one, congratulations, this was an amazingly atmospheric episode. I really did love it. It was a tad long-winded, however, although I have to expect something like this. Whenever there's a major character death in the Naruto universe, they tend to really want to focus on it. That being said, this is still a pretty damned exciting episode, which also had some great action moments attached to it. But really, the star of this week's episode is Obito Uchiha, who in last week's episode made the ultimate sacrifice when he was able to use his Kamui abilities to send one of those attacks from Kaguya away from Kakashi, and then he actually took the brunt of all of the attack, which is going to kill him. And it's such a powerful technique that not even Naruto's Ninja Jesus abilities can heal him, which of course is really devastating for Naruto, as he's finally starting to warm up to Obito a lot, and really sees a lot of himself in Obito and vice versa. It's just that they decided to go down completely different paths, and you get to see all of that in this week's episode as we go through this full flashback sequence of Obito's journey from being a young ninja to joining the Akatsuki, and eventually to where he is now. And they actually do go out of the way to reanimate a lot of these moments, and I'll be damned if they don't look fantastic. But to be fair, these are moments that we have seen a lot of. There's going to be a lot of familiarity in this week's episode, and that's because this is just a lot of events which have been covered in multiple episodes and multiple flashback episodes. So it is kind of a long time before we actually get to see Obito finally die in this week's episode, where he quite literally crumbles and turns into ash. Now, the most interesting thing about all of this and all of these flashback sequences is that we do get one part where it's kind of like a hypothetical what would happen if Obito were still alive and Rin was actually dead. And we get this great scene with Kakashi and Obito next to Rin's grave, and he's still just completely sad about all of these events, but he's reassured by all of his friends being there, and he himself eventually becomes the Hokage. And there's flashbacks of him actually interacting with Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, as if these events could potentially happen. And that's the most important message from this episode, is that Naruto is going down the same path as Obito, he's just making different choices. And these choices are what's going to lead him to a much brighter future. Essentially, he's telling Naruto, don't do what I did and never give up of your dreams on being the Hokage, no matter the cost. And this is just going to fuel Naruto in a way that we have not seen in such a long time. And while all of this is going on, Kaguya is managing to get her powers back, Sasuke's powers have reactivated, he immediately goes on the attack and asks for Naruto's help, who is still desperately trying to heal Obito, but that's just not going to happen. And eventually when his body does crumble, that's when he decides that he's going to go after Kaguya. In particular, he's going after Black Zetsu, who's being just a total dick in this episode, constantly trying to get underneath Naruto's skin, and basically just being a big bully. But I love the scene where Naruto suddenly just jumps up in the air and then cuts off Kaguya's arm, which just so happens to have Black Zetsu attached to it. It's a fantastic scene, and it's an even greater build-up to the battle in next week's episode, which I do believe is going to be the final battle with Kaguya. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? What a gorgeous looking episode. The art direction, the animation, just the looks of the characters and expressions, you felt all of it. And Obito in particular was pretty fantastic in this episode. A lot of people consider Obito to be kind of an insufferable character. I think he's one of the stronger elements of the Naruto series, and you really get to see that come to a head in this week's episode. The amount of impact that Obito has actually had on the series can really be seen in this one right here, and how much it's actually influenced a lot of the major characters of the series. And not just Kakashi, but Naruto in particular. He takes a lot of the lessons that he learned from Obito very seriously, and that's just going to make him even more pissed off in this big, epic final confrontation with Kaguya, which is definitely going to get a lot of people's attentions. There are going to be some events going down in next week's episode, which are just going to blow people's minds, especially for those who just watched the anime version, and there's one scene they show at the very end of the preview that I really wish they didn't show, because it completely gives away one of the coolest things about the next episode, and something that I in particular cannot wait to see. That being said, it was just really exciting. And this episode right here was sort of like the ultimate dedication to Obito. Believe it or not, we are going to get a small amount more of Obito in the next episode. But this one right here was basically the final reflection episode on Obito, where he's been, where he's gone, and where he is now. And it was done with a lot of gusto and some great animation and some fantastic atmosphere. And I love how they're bringing back the old music and repurposing it. They've already used it in a couple of the previous episodes, but the title song, Sadness and Sorrow, just is so perfect for this episode and adds such a great atmosphere to it. It just makes you feel so sad for Obito, a character who has really grown on me as the series has gone on. And getting to see all of those flashbacks again, reanimated, looked fantastic. They all looked great. This was a great looking episode right here, and the rest of the series is probably going to look good too. It looks like they were saving their best animation teams and directors for these final episodes. And my friends, we are really at the finale here. We have roughly about 10 to 11 chapters worth of material to work with, and considering they can go through like 2 to 3 chapters per episode, we are almost done with the Naruto Shippuden anime series, and next week is going to be an episode that you will not want to miss. It is going to be action-packed, it's going to feature some crazy, ridiculous moments, and what's even crazier is that it's just going to get better from there. There's still one more major event of the series after this Kaguya stuff, which is what I'm looking forward to the most, and I really hope it's just going to blow our minds. That being said, this was a fantastic episode and a great send-off to the character of Obito, so if you're a fan of that character, definitely check out this episode. I know I really enjoyed this one. This has been one of my favorite episodes of Naruto Shippuden, and it just was great. It just worked really well. Simple as that. So I'm going to give this one right here a 5 out of 5. I would lower the score for the fact that there are some slower moments through all the flashbacks, but they were done so well, and they were animated so nicely, and it just fit with the atmosphere of this episode so much that I can't fault it for that. And the fact that we're almost done with Naruto, so I'm just going to sort of soak up everything that they give us from this point on, and just try to absorb it and love all of it. Because I'm a huge fan of the Naruto series, and if you're a fan, you should definitely check out this week's episode. But before you guys leave, make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden in the comments section below. Make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode and what you want to see from the next big battle with Kaguya and the finale of Naruto Shippuden. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I really appreciate it. For all of the Bleach fans out there, the Bleach manga series just came to its epic conclusion. I guess epic might be overblowing it a little bit, but the series is done. If you guys would like to see my review and reaction to the final chapter of Bleach, make sure to check out the links in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.